All right, so we're going to wrap up this chapter thinking about why several states are cutting the duration of unemployment compensation. So since 2011, there are 9 states that have cut the duration of unemployment compensation from up to 26 weeks to as low as 14 weeks. And economists find that the compensation gives unemployed incentives to lengthen their job searches, right? So if you're gathering unemployment and you know it's going to last for a long time, you're not as motivated to go out and find a job right away. You might take more time so that you find a better job or a higher paying job. And this has resulted in 25% lower earnings growth than they would have if they spent less time searching. In addition, the compensation has also had a strong automatic stabilizing effect with a multiplier effect as high as 2 on planned expenditures. So pretty interesting findings here. All right, which governments conduct fiscal policy stabilization most effectively? So there's something called the stabilization coefficient. It's the average of the average change in government spending relative to tax revenues associated with a 1 percentage point change in real GDP. So how stabilizing, in other words, is fiscal policy for a given government? The larger that this coefficient is, the more successful the government is at stabilizing GDP. So here's the stabilization coefficient for several different countries. We've got United States over here. So up above 1, they're pretty effective at stabilizing GDP. The only country that does it better is actually Norway. The United Kingdom is basically almost right at 1. And then we see some other countries that are really bad at stabilizing their government, like Greece, Estonia. So they are not very good at stabilizing their economies. All right, that concludes this chapter. Just to wrap it up, we'll recap what we learned. So we saw how we were able to use traditional Keynesian analysis to evaluate the effects of discretionary fiscal policy and the effects on real GDP and the price level. So increases in government spending and decreases in taxes will boost the economy by increasing aggregate demand. Now, of course, as you should recall, an increase in aggregate demand increases the price level, so don't forget that. And that on the opposite side of that coin is that decreases in government spending and or increases in taxes will decrease aggregate demand, bringing real GDP down and the price level down. Then we talked about several different ways that government spending can kind of be offset by changes in private expenditure, either through consumption or investment. We saw that there was crowding out, which is where deficits lead to increases in interest rates, so that's crowding out. We saw direct fiscal offsets with government spending replacing some private spending. And then we talked about the Ricardian equivalence theorem and how a tax cut can have no real effect on planned expenditures and aggregate demand. Then we looked at those various time lags and saw that when, there's the recognition time lag, the action time lag, and the effect time lag. And so these time lags, given their length and their variability in length, can make it really hard for the government to sort of fine-tune the economy. But fortunately, we have automatic stabilizers, which make fine-tuning the economy actually a little bit easier. And although I didn't mention it, these automatic stabilizers basically eliminate the first 2 time lags. They eliminate the recognition time lag and they eliminate the action time lag. Unfortunately, the effect time lag is still there, but at least it eliminates the first 2. All right. That's it. You don't need to worry about the appendix. That concludes this chapter. I'll see you in the next video for the chapter on federal budgets and deficits.